Welcome to crypto's report. My name is Ben. So let's recap last week, and then this week we're gonna do a couple of projections, and then focus on some of the important events of this week as well. So last week it was all about the inflow of Bitcoin ETFs got record highs, 18-day inflow streak. So that's great. And then Standard Charter, they always, these institutions or media company, they put out their projections, and there's nothing wrong with putting out a projection. Be wrong or right, just throw it out there, see, catch a couple of eyeballs, and that's all. That's all for these projections. Without the analysis, without proper analysis, without really any merits behind, nothing. It just put out a number out there without really anything. So, but the future is the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. However, if you remember last cycle, many predicted Bitcoin to go through 500,000, a million. Some went nuts with 5 million, 10 million. It didn't go there, right? It stopped it right at 69k. For this cycle, our projection is somewhere in 200,000 to 250,000. And that's really based on the analysis of the last cycle and many cycles before that. However, it could go higher because the institutions. So we're going to see what happens. All right, very conservative, but we're trying to keep as realistic as possible. So, and it looks like an on and off relationship, between China and cryptos. What they don't know is, these governments, as soon as they accept cryptos, it's going to be very dangerous for them because it's a silent protest, and it's the government will be overthrown, by the people. There'll be no weapons, nothing. It's just money, right? Money can overthrow, because the blockchain will actually select intelligent officials instead of popular officials. So better to select a vote on the intelligent ones instead of the popular ones. But that's another story. All right, so we and the market data, a couple of numbers. We for this cycle we are projecting the whole market cap to hit at least $10 trillion, and that's very conservative. Really, just be realistic. We're not going to go above or a little bit below. Sometimes it's a 5-10%, plus or minus, and that's the deviation. But it's going to hit there because those even numbers are very psychological to humans. So we're sitting around above $2 trillion. So 3x from here, 4x from here, very easily. Okay, very easily for cryptos, especially this institutional cycle. And then we identify a pattern on people with a fallen volume. So we're gonna talk a little bit on that as well. For Bitcoin, it's consolidated in the range of 5-day time frame to weekly time frame, and as long as it's holding support at 65, 66k, we can continue to run, because the daily trend got broken. The daily right there. So at 65k plus or minus, that's when we're gonna see a bounce. Now it's around, let's see here. So you can see very clearly on a weekly consolidation right here with the Bollinger Band. It's consolidating around the weekly. But if we turn that on to that 5 days, so let's see what happens here. Now it's going inside the consolidation of 5-day time frame. So what we see is the 65k. We see the 65k, 69k to be correct, 69, 70k. So anything above that zone got rejected, and now it's going inside the consolidation of 5 days time frame, holding at support. It could, the worst case scenario is somewhere in the 61, 62k. But we're not gonna do that. Possibly if tomorrow, the Fed is gonna do something crazy, we're gonna see maybe a spike for 15 minutes, half an hour. going down like that, other than that, going through the technical, the weekly consolidation is where it's going to point to the support at 65k, right? A little bit plus or minus. It's not going to be exact, but it's somewhere in that range. You keep going right there. Got a bounce, and then the lines of the Bollinger Band will continue, and then of course all-time high is very, very close. Okay, all-time high is very, very close. All right, so let's go back to. So that's the Bitcoin and the total market cap. It's still consolidating. At the end of the consolidation, we're gonna see a breakout. Okay, potentially it could be a breakdown. Who knows, right? The markets can certainly go either way at the end of the consolidation. But the projection, the market sentiment, nothing really bad is happening. It's just only the Fed. That's really the numbers that we're going to be waiting for tomorrow, and then the rest is really the market just go through technical very, very closely. All right, so and then we're going to go back to people to do a little bit of analysis. See the fallen volume right here on futures, and that's how we identify a double top, triple top. With some of these tokens, for example. The important events, so we got Apple yesterday. They only partner with OpenAI. Maybe in the futures they're going to be partnering with more companies, but at this moment, that's the only thing that we hear. And then of course, Elon Musk and Tim Cook, for example, they got words with one another on the potential privacy violation on the OS level. With OpenAI, got integrated very deeply into Apple devices as far as the iOS. All right, so the key thing is tomorrow. Keep an eye out for the Fed interest rate. They're gonna make a decision, even though they always saying it's 2%. But those are fake numbers. I don't know where they. Not really sure where they got those numbers, but they just crunch a couple of numbers, give you 2% inflation, for example. Get nothing in the United States is really 2%, right? Everything is increased by 2 times, 3 times. The least is like 50% or 70%. Nothing is like 2%. All right. But however, the market moves on those numbers, even though they fake. Even though those numbers are really, really fake, it doesn't make any sense, but the market moves based on those numbers, so we have to really follow them very closely. And then inflation data and interest rate, those are just those numbers. And then the Europe, right? Europe 2024. So football tokens, I got pump up here and there with a couple of nations, got into Europe, and then a few famous clubs, for example. So. And then the blockchain got integrated with CHZ, for example. Very, very important day tomorrow, so keep an eye out. All right, so let's go to maybe do an analysis on people and see, and then we're gonna go for this week's token. We're gonna talk about level finance. So possibly it's gonna hit all-time high. We're gonna be talking about the golden drop. So we're going to see, but before we do that, you can see it. You take a look at this, right? You take a look at daily here, for example, the daily time frame on people. Last time we identified somewhere below 4 cents, went 4x to 15 cents, and then got triple top, double top, whichever one you prefer to call it. So it's about 4x, 3x in about span of 2 weeks or 20 days. So as you can see, the volume is dropping when it's doing this correction, because the bulls are kind of they just give up, they pump and then they bought the tokens, for example, and then they out, that's it. And then the bears, when they could see there'll be no more buy-ins, they'll be coming in, and that's where you could see the volume is dropping. When there's no more volume, only the order book will do the trick. Okay, the same thing happened here, same thing. So at this moment right here, when we identify a pump, that's when wait for a correction. That's really the best entry is when it's due with the retest. and that's how you can identify a huge run, especially this bull run. And when you see there's a pattern, of course, you could use all kinds of technical indicators, Bollinger Band, Ichimoku, the lines, for example. But at the end of the day, we got a couple of more indicators, and one of the best one is volumes. When we see the volume is dropping right here, you could see it's getting weaker. So the buyers, the bulls, they're getting weaker with the volume, even though the order book got thinner, but the volume got weaker. And that's how we can identify, hey, will this be a double top? Will this be a triple top, for example? These deviations right here, and that's how we got them, right? That's how we can be able to identify and say, hey, maybe you could take profit there. And some would like to short, but that's very simple fundamental analysis, nothing complex. But the ability to connect the dots and see that patterns. Sometimes you have to zoom out. If 4 hours, you don't see nothing, you can zoom out to 8 hours one day to see whether or not it's consolidating, or it's the market is consolidating, or it's doing something else. You could see it, but if you zoom in at 15 minutes or maybe an hour, you see nothing. The market's a lot of noises. All right, so that's for people. We identified that, put it out there. Okay, so for lever, it got rejected right around let's see, 0.4 cents, right? 0.4, a little bit above. Got rejected many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Okay, so it got until yesterday. It got rejected because of Bitcoin. So now we gotta wait until Bitcoin is stable, right around 65, 60. Tomorrow would be a good day to decide, because some of the altcoins got really oversold. So tomorrow we're gonna see, but it looks like we might have the golden drop here. There's a very good support level right around 3.7, 3.6, could be 3.5 cents. Not cents, 0.36, 0.35, somewhere in that range, right? So we could certainly see it if we try to zoom in. But other than that, as long as it's keeping that level, right, with lever, then we're gonna see another all-time high. However, in this market, when Bitcoin is really not doing that well, and it's holding on to that support, at 65, 66K, then it's gonna be very tough. So the golden drop is between when we're talking about the golden drop, it's between like 10% plus or minus. Sometimes it deviates, up to 13%, because the pump here, the pump all the way. Let's see, it pumps from pumps around 30%, like 0.3 cents to 0.4 cents, a little bit above. So now if it's holding support right around 0.0036, a little bit plus or minus, we're gonna see another all-time high on level. Okay, so now it's doing a strict waiting for Bitcoin to make a move, and we also we discussed about last time we discussed when it was at 70K, it got rejected at 70K. So let's see, that's always like at 72K. Got the a little bit of a dump, about 5%, a little bit less than that, 4 or 5%, and then the bounce up to 70K got rejected. So that's when we could say, hey, maybe there's another leg down. That's what we talked about. So we're gonna see if this 66 to 65K level will hold until tomorrow, because that's gonna be very key. The Fed's gonna come out and they're gonna make a decision. The market's gonna make a decision as well. Good news, then the market's gonna go all-time high. Bad news, we're gonna see more corrections. So and that's really the whole story, no more no less. not much more with the market. So let's try. Let's see, we gotta go to the right one. Okay, not gonna go anywhere but this. All right, so really pay attention to some of the key events, some of the key indicators, find the patterns, connect the dots. You're gonna be on top of the crypto markets. It's not easy, but the more research, the better. The more learnings, the better. No bad news, really. Nothing. We're just gonna connect the dots and see the patterns. That's all to it. Nothing more, nothing less. All right. Thank you very much for watching. We see you next time. Thanks again. Bye bye now.